Greta Scacchi used to be one of her generation's most engaging and gifted performers. She had a career that took her from Hollywood to Europe, a timeless beauty, and bold acting abilities. However, when people think about Scacchi, they don't only think of her notable accomplishments or honors. She became the focus of one of Hollywood's most notorious scandals because of her turbulent relationships, contentious choices, and most surprising of all, her kid with her own first cousin. Scacchi was once the most sought-after candidate for captivating lead parts in Hollywood. She even declined a famous role in Basic Instinct, something that few people at the time would have dared to do. Her career was taking off, and she appeared to be well on her way to being famous. However, one poor decision started a chain reaction that led to her career collapsing more quickly than anyone could have predicted. Even Hollywood was taken aback by the sudden change from box office champion to a name that vanished into obscurity. The controversy surfaced. The public was stunned. Hollywood shuttered its doors, and Scacchi was no longer in the public eye. What took place? What would make a top-achieving actress ruin everything on her own? Fame, love, tragedy, endless controversy, and decisions no one saw coming are all part of this tale. Furthermore, Greta Scacchi's story is completely different from any other scandal you have ever heard about in Hollywood. Greta Scacchi was born in Milan, Italy, on February 18, 1960, into a family with a long history of the arts. Her mother, Pamela, was a budding dancer, while her father, Luca Scacchi, was a painter and art dealer. Her life abruptly changed when her parents divorced when she was only 4 years old, even though it had seemed that she would grow up in a tranquil environment surrounded by the colorful world of art. In addition to having a profound effect on her, this split signaled the end of any stability in the family. Tom and Paul moved to London before relocating to Sussex, England. Greta's early years were divided between two entirely different worlds by this sudden shift. She had to get used to a controlled, tidy, and disciplined environment in England. However, each time she traveled back to Italy to see her father, she entered a different universe. She was surrounded by an artistic environment while she was in Milan. The linguistic barrier wasn't the only one. Greta had the impression that she was leading two distinct lives, one characterized by the discipline and restriction of England and the freedom and wild energy of Italy. She felt as though she never truly belonged anyplace because of this extreme disparity. The next significant turning point occurred in 1975 when the family moved to Perth, Australia, and her mother remarried Giovanni Coringa, a professor at a university. Greta was compelled to adapt to a new setting once more. She first became involved in school theatre plays in Perth, where she also found her deep love for the stage. Her passion for the arts, however, was unable to protect her from financial difficulties. Greta worked as a farmhand, a livestock caretaker, and even an Italian interpreter to help support herself. In addition to providing her with a means of support, these events helped her develop a strong, self-reliant personality that would later be essential to her acting career. Greta had always been interested in theater, but she never saw herself as a movie star. She believed that genuine craftsmanship was realized on stage. She therefore jumped at the chance to attend the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School in order to follow her love. Among the most prominent acting schools in England, she initially established the groundwork for her acting career in this difficult and demanding setting. Greta Scacchi immediately demonstrated her talent, beginning with minor advertisements and television parts. Das Zweitgesicht, her 1982 debut movie, demonstrated her resolve as an actor who would do whatever it took to truly inhabit a role. Scacchi even taught herself German to play a part in this German movie so she could act authentically. In addition to demonstrating her commitment, this suggested an unwavering style of acting that would come to define her career. However, it was her role as Olivia in the renowned Ivory production Heat and Dust in 1983 that really marked a turning point in her career. Playing a Western woman who immerses herself in Indian culture and becomes caught up in a sensual, illegal affair, Olivia was a nuanced character. In addition to requiring subtle acting, the movie asked Scacchi to play daring, private parts, a difficult task for a budding actor. In one of the most dramatic passages in the movie, Olivia becomes enamored with a mystery Indian nobleman named Nawab. The flickering oil lights create long shadows in a poorly lit room, and the oppressive tropical heat intensifies the tension between them. Scacchi's naked appearance and unrestrained physique perfectly capture the unadulterated sensuality and yearning of her persona. Slowly and gradually, the scenario develops. There is no rush, only skillful narrative that somehow and uncontrollably captures the emotional outburst. No hesitancy or awkwardness is present. Scacchi gives the part his all, letting Olivia escape all social constraints in the West and enter a realm of forbidden desire and pleasure. With the film's overwhelming success, she shot to fame in Hollywood. Following a series of European motion pictures, Scacchi soon rose to fame as an actress in the United States. Hollywood was unable to ignore a face with ageless beauty. While radiating a mysterious charm, she became a symbol of roles that were equal parts strong and delicate, seductive and clever. She was one of the most promising European actresses on the American cinema at the time because of this uncommon combination. Even yet, Scacchi was unaware that the decisions she would make in the ensuing years would lead her career in an unthinkable direction, despite her quick ascent to fame. Greta Scacchi swiftly solidified her reputation after making her breakthrough in Heat and Dust with a string of memorable parts that were both emotionally taxing and artistically audacious. Her 1987 film White Mischief, which explored the complex web of betrayal and seduction among British nobles in Kenya, had a lasting impression. Who sets off on a dangerous adventure? In addition to making her the focus of attention, the movie strengthened her standing as an actress who isn't scared to play challenging parts. Under the dim glow of the African moonlight, Diana and her lover have a covert meeting outside a magnificent house in one of the movie's most famous sequences. The romantic atmosphere was painstakingly constructed, not only for its aesthetic appeal but also for the unadulterated feelings it expressed, showing a lady caught between unbridled passion and the terror of unavoidable repercussions. Scacchi made yet another significant breakthrough in 1990 when she co-starred with Harrison Ford in the psychological thriller Presumed Innocent, which was full of forbidden affairs and judicial turmoil. She portrayed a prosecutor who had an unclear relationship with Ford's character, which increased the drama in the movie both in and out of the courtroom. As physical desire and covert objectives clashed in an exciting showdown, their on-screen chemistry produced one of the most captivating dynamics of the time. Greta Scacchi, however, really rocked Hollywood in 1992 with Robert Altman's The Player. One of the most contentious nude scenes of the 1990s was included in this scathing indictment of the film business. Scacchi was totally exposed in a daring and uncensored moment that lasted over a full minute, with no clever angles or subdued lighting to hide the truth. This sequence was both shocking and deeply meaningful at a time when Hollywood was still hesitant to show such unadulterated vulnerability, exposing the entertainment business as a whole, not just the actress. Scacchi wasn't being gratuitously nude. It was a creative statement that was essential to a character who exposed her body and soul in a world dominated by illusion and power. Few actresses would have taken such a bold stance. Scacchi showed her flexibility by playing Mrs. Weston in Emma, which went beyond her seductive and mysterious performances. 1996, she received praise from critics for her performance in the Jane Austen adaptation, which distinguished her from the sensual persona she had previously possessed. Provocative scenes weren't necessary for her to shine. She proved that she could enthrall audiences in any role because to her command of voice, expression, and calm grace, which gave dimension to her character. But it wasn't just Scacchi's outstanding performances that left an impression on Hollywood, it was also her unyielding dedication to her values. She vehemently declined a part in Basic Instinct, one of the most iconic films of the 1990s. She chose to abandon a project that may have elevated her to a new level of fame because she didn't like the script and didn't agree with director Paul Verhoeven's strategy. It was a dangerous step. However, it emphasized Scacchi's reluctance to make concessions for the sake of publicity. She wasn't the type of actress who would compromise her morals for financial gain. Scacchi's ability was continuously acknowledged with important accolades, even though he took high-stakes chances. Her performance as Queen Alexandra in Rasputin, Dark Servant of Destiny earned her an Emmy in 1996. A historical part that strengthened her adaptability even more. She continued to demonstrate that her range as a performer went well beyond the glitzy and sensual parts that first characterized her career by winning the AFI Award for Best Supporting Actress in 2000 for Looking for Alibrandi. Greta Scacchi fell in love with Vincent D'Onofrio, the gifted actor best known for Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket, when she was at the top of her game. Passion and profound understanding bonded them in a maelstrom of emotions that was not your typical romance. They rose to prominence as one of the most beautiful couples in the movie business. D'Onofrio with his gritty intensity, Scacchi with her timeless charm. However, as with many Hollywood love stories, catastrophe was frequently hinted at by the passion. She had an unfathomable and intense love for D'Onofrio, but it was not meant to last. Relationship problems started to show after the birth of their daughter, Layla George, in 1992. They said goodbye with tears just 6 months after Layla was born. Scacchi never concealed her sadness, but no one knew the precise reason behind their breakup. She was lost and adrift after the separation, which drove her into a downward spiral. Unable to find her footing, she disappeared from the screen for 4 years. Losing love and being on the verge of Hollywood's oblivion was a devastating blow for a lady who had previously had it all: beauty, career, and celebrity. She was unable to work and concentrate on anything but her suffering. In a subsequent interview, Scacchi acknowledged that this was the most depressing time in her life, when love fell apart and she lost her identity. "I was unable to work for a number of years because I was so preoccupied with the relationship. My career was ruined by 4 years of anguish." In addition to losing D'Onofrio, she also lost the motivation, aspirations, and fame that had previously made her unique. In Hollywood, even a brief pause can be interpreted as total erasure. Scacchi didn't make an appearance on film, didn't try to reclaim her career, and didn't take on new jobs throughout those 4 years. But as the hopeless days went by, she started to notice something. She had to stop allowing the anguish to control her. "I feel like I've won now. I've managed to find joy in the fact that I made it through such adversity." She was no longer plagued by the heartache and the loss. They served as her fuel. But Hollywood had transformed just as she made up her mind to go back. She was no longer in the key roles. The filmmakers who had previously pursued her had shifted their focus to more youthful candidates. And to live. Nobody anticipated Scacchi's choice. One would think Greta Scacchi would be more cautious in her relationships following her heartbreak with Vincent D'Onofrio. Scacchi quickly became involved in one of the most startling relationships of her era, but Hollywood is no place for modest love affairs. One of the best actors in contemporary film, Daniel Day-Lewis, was the man at the center of it all this time. A man as mysterious as he was capricious. This time, Scacchi was not with any men, unlike her last relationship. Daniel Day-Lewis was then in a committed relationship with French actress Isabelle Adjani, whom he had formerly admired with steadfast devotion and who was well known for her beauty and brilliance. Despite this knowledge, Day-Lewis and Scacchi threw themselves into one another's arms like two unquenchable fires. Everything started in secret. At upscale restaurants, Scacchi and Day-Lewis were seen dining together late at night while exchanging stares that seemed to last a bit too long. Sometimes they would vanish simultaneously from high-profile occasions, which fueled rumors. Both first denied the affair, but the reality was gradually revealed by smuggled photos. Isabelle Adjani's public admission that she had been deceived was the last straw. An insider claims that Adjani had been aware of the affair for a long time but had kept quiet out of a last-ditch effort to keep her relationship with Day-Lewis intact. After a while she could take no more. In an interview, she voiced her opinions with dignity and anguish. "Maybe it wasn't enough that I gave him the best years of my life." Adjani was not the only one left broken by the controversy that broke out. Scacchi's friendship with Day-Lewis rapidly deteriorated. He lived up to his reputation as the man who could never be restrained. The same way he had left Isabelle Adjani, he left Scacchi. The scars caused by the affair never completely healed, yet it ended as quickly as it had started. Once a well-respected actress who was renowned for her bold decisions, Scacchi was now associated with one of Hollywood's most notorious adultery scandals. Even while there were still chances for a career comeback, it was a stain she would never be able to get rid of. What followed would leave everyone completely astounded, though, if you believe this to be the biggest shock of her life. Hollywood has already been rocked by Greta Scacchi's scandalous yet passionate relationship with Daniel Day-Lewis. Her subsequent choice, however, would devastate not only the entertainment sector but also her own family. Instead of looking for a new beginning with someone else after a string of failed romances, Scacchi chose a route that no one could have foreseen. She went with her own first cousin, Carlo Montagazza. Her family and the general public were incensed over the relationship, which instantly sparked a flurry of scandal. It was not some distant relative who was Carlo Montagazza. He was her father's sister's son, making him her biological first cousin. However, the two had not been close as children and only became close as adults, in contrast to normal cousins who grow up together. Their paths crossed when Carlo left Italy to start over in Australia, where Greta had also made Australia her second home. Their common artistic sensibilities and life perspectives led them to discover an unforeseen bond. What began as closeness within the family developed into something more profound. However, things got much more complicated when their relationship shifted from kinship to romance. Scacchi's family was rocked when it was revealed that she was in love with and expecting a child from her first cousin. Her father, Luca Scacchi, a guy steeped in traditional Italian values, was the one who opposed her the most. He was heartbroken, unwilling to tolerate what he perceived as a betrayal of family honor. The family dispute escalated to an irreversible level as other relatives in Italy responded with comparable indignation, with some cutting off all communication. The family wasn't the only ones in astonishment, though. The disclosure caused a stir in the media and public opinion. Although they were not prohibited, cousin marriages were still frowned upon in Italy and much of Europe. Every facet of the story was examined by the media, from moral dilemmas to genetic ramifications, raising concerns about the possible effects on their offspring and wider societal repercussions. Scacchi did not back down in the face of criticism. "People were shocked, but it is completely legal," she said defiantly in an interview. She and Carlo stuck to their love in the face of intense scrutiny. Their son, Matteo, was born in 1998 and is a living example of their choice to go against the grain of society. However, despite their seeming defiance of the odds, the situation was far from ideal. The strain of outside influences never really left their relationship. Family conflicts, lingering rumors, and social stigma never completely went away. Quietly split up in 2010. Unlike the high-profile divorces in Hollywood that frequently made news, there was no public announcement, no court fights, and no dramatic charges. Like it had started, it finished in silence. Sources close to them claim that their gradual drift apart was the cause of their split rather than bitterness or betrayal. Their dedication to co-parenting their son, Matteo, was the only thing they had in common. Being a private person, Scacchi never discussed the split in public, seemingly hoping the rumor would eventually fade away. But despite their best efforts to hide it, Greta Scacchi and Carlo Montagazza's relationship is still one of the most contentious scandals in Hollywood. A period of her life that she will never forget. For its startling disregard for tradition. Greta Scacchi was not an exception to Hollywood's brutal treatment of females who have outlived their attractiveness. As she approached her 40s, she became aware that the roles that were available to her had diminished to uninspiring supporting roles, moms, ex-wives, or shallow characters. The fact that male actors were still given main roles as they grew older stood in sharp contrast to this. Scacchi refused to be ignored and vocally denounced the ageism and gender discrimination prevalent in the film industry. She stated that she was looking for characters with genuine emotional depth and significance rather than playing only ornamental parts to support male protagonists. In addition to being her personal struggle, this served as a rallying cry for several gifted actresses who Hollywood had rejected since they were no longer considered beauty idols. Scacchi's battle, however, took place off-screen. In a surprising turn of events, she also emerged as a leading advocate for environmental action. She posed naked with a gigantic codfish in 2010 as part of the Fish Love campaign, which aimed to raise awareness about ocean devastation and overfishing. The picture made you feel something right away. Not only for its boldness but also for the strong message it conveys. The oceans will soon be nothing but emptiness if we don't make a change. It wasn't just a publicity stunt. The impact of the campaign was nominated for a Sydney Theatre Award for her performance as Queen Elizabeth I in Mary Stuart. But the Deep Blue Sea turned out to be the emotional high point of her acting career. This was not merely a part. Scacchi's life was reflected in it. She played Hester Collier, a lady who put everything on the line for love only to end up hopeless. A remarkable resemblance to Scacchi's actual experiences. For the sake of living authentically to her heart, she had the courage to love, fight, and face scandal. Scacchi left her mark in her own way, no longer the Hollywood beauty goddess she once was. She demonstrated her value without having to walk the red carpet. She persisted in advocating for women, art, and the environment. And nobody can dispute that legacy. Greta Scacchi, 64, is still a committed artist who pushes herself with new TV and movie projects. She starred in the psychological suspense film Run Rabbit Run in 2023. Playing the enigmatic role of Joan, adding to the tense mood of the movie. This work, which starred Sarah Snook, caught the interest of fans of psychological thrillers when it was made available on Netflix on June 28, 2023. In the same year, Scacchi made an appearance on the television show Bodies, showcasing her flexibility by working on a project that combined crime investigation and science fiction. She chooses to live a private life in England, avoiding needless dramas in the entertainment world, even if she is actively involved in the arts. In sharp contrast to her colorful, frequently controversial past, Scacchi now prioritizes spending time with her family and her genuine passions. She is no longer a name that frequently appears in the news. Scacchi continues to take part in important creative events despite having a limited media exposure. She honored the classic work she once contributed to by attending a screening of Merchant Ivory as part of BFI Flair 2024 in London on March 16, 2024. She was announced as a speaker at the Gabunco Gibraltar Literary Festival on September 2, 2024, where she discussed her art, career, and personal views on the cinema industry. Scacchi made a comeback to the stage with Bet and Joan, which ran from December 5, 2024, until January 11, 2025, at the Park Theatre in London. Scacchi's decision to protect her privacy, live a modest lifestyle, and keep making her own contributions to the arts is a reflection of her present philosophy of life. She has finally found balance after major changes in both her personal and professional lives, which is difficult in the glitzy but dangerous world of Hollywood. Greta Scacchi's life is a monument to brave decisions, tenacity, and the highs and lows of celebrity, having gone from being a movie star to being at the heart of some of Hollywood's most startling scandals. She used to be praised for her talent and attractiveness, being at the top of the industry. Nevertheless, she never shied away from making choices that rocked the globe. Every decision she took, whether praised or criticized, showed that she was a woman who dared to live her life as she saw fit, independent of what society thought. No one can dispute Greta Scacchi's irrevocable impact on Hollywood history, whether they like her or not. But is she a representation of liberty and individual choice, or should she be condemned? Leave a comment below with your opinions. Remember to hit like and subscribe so that we can continue to unearth the most astounding tales in Hollywood.